Hello and welcome to Utica TV Overtime, where each week we will be keeping you up to date with everything that's going on with your Utica Pioneers. I'm your host, Andres Jaime Mendez.
And I'm James Brown. Let's get right into the action from the past week.
On Monday, March 27th, the Utica University softball team had their home opener in a doubleheader versus Cazenovia College. The Pioneers split the season series at Cazenovia last season and looked to come out on top in this one.
In the first game, we saw Jordan Conti on the mound for the Pioneers, but it didn't take long for the Wildcats to strike first in this one, as first baseman Madison Cieslak got a hold of a pitch from Conti and took it yard to give the Wildcats the early 1-0 lead.
After some nice pitching from Cazenovia's Morgan Morrow, the Pioneers would finally get on the board in the bottom of the fourth when Abigail Finch shot one into center field that knocked in 2 runs, putting Utica up 1. Then just 1 inning later, freshman Maddie Zugler hit a long double to deep center field that brought in Abigail Sachs for another Utica run.
The Pioneers would go on to win this one by a score of 3-1. Conti had a great 6-inning outing, allowing just 1 run on 4 hits to go along with 7 strikeouts. Lucia Gargulio would get the save for the Pioneers and secure the first game of this doubleheader. But unfortunately, the second game was cut short in the second inning due to rain delay, and the Pioneers are now sitting at a 9-5 record in conference play, with conference play right on the horizon.
Last Tuesday, the women's lacrosse team would fall to nationally ranked SUNY Cortland by a score of 17-6. JB was on the call, and he'll tell us more about this game.
The game started with Cortland scoring on their first shot of the game. Utica would go on to tie the game with 12 minutes remaining in the first quarter. This tie would be short-lived, as Cortland would score 7 goals before Grace Stuhlman ended the unanswered streak with just 11 seconds left in the first quarter.
Cortland headed into halftime with a 14-3 lead. Utica would only be able to trade goals with Cortland before losing by a final score of 17-6.
The women were led by Samantha DeCondo, as she recorded a hat trick on just 3 shots. Grace Stuhlman would also chip into the scoring column, as she would score 2 goals herself. Goalie Brees Burlingame would also record 11 saves in the losing effort.
Over the past weekend, on Saturday, April 1st, the Utica women's water polo team hosted their first home tournament in nearly a decade. They had a doubleheader that featured games against Penn State Behrend and Grove City College.
The Pioneers matched up against Penn State Behrend in the first game and were unable to come away with the win. The game's final was 14-6, where Bailey Simmons and Amelia LeBate netted 2 goals apiece to keep themselves at the top of the scoring board for the Pioneers this season.
The girls looked to bounce back in their second game of the day, where they took on Grove City College. Fortunately, that game continued to not bode well for the Pioneers, as they dropped that game as well by a score of 13-2. Simmons and Weiss continued their scoring display, netting themselves a goal apiece in this one. Paige Levine played a major assist for these goals. This was no joke on April 1st, as the women's lacrosse team took on the Nazareth Golden Flyers on Saturday at Gaetano Stadium. Let's take a look at the highlights and see who won.
Nazareth took the lead with the first goal of the game at the 8-minute mark of the first half. Not just a minute later, Utica caught up to goal scoring by Samantha DeCondo, and Nazareth then took the lead again with another 2 goals, ending the first with Nazareth up 4-2. The second quarter gave the Pioneers 1 more goal, scored by Grace Stuhlman.
The second half gave the Pioneers a fighting chance, adding 5 more goals from Stuhlman and DeCondo. First-year Ruby Ackerman finished out the game, scoring the 9th goal with just under 3 minutes left in the game.
While this game served as a loss for the Pioneers, 9-11, DeCondo brought her career total to 99 points, and Stuhlman tied her career high for 5 goals in this game.
Last Saturday, Nazareth took on the men's tennis team as part of the Empire 8 Championship. Unfortunately, our Pioneers were not able to get the win in this matchup.
With a final score of 9-0, Nazareth would take this one. Then this marks the 17th time Nazareth has beaten our Pioneers, and a streak running as far back as 2008. We're hopeful that next time the men's team goes up against Nazareth, they'll be able to come up with the win and end the long-running losing streak.
This past Saturday, the men's lacrosse team was back at home as they hosted the Nazareth College Golden Flyers. This was the start of conference play this season for the Pioneers, as they came into this one holding a 4-6 record. On the flip side, the Golden Flyers came to this one with a 4-6 record as well, but have a 1-0 conference record after they defeated the Keuka College Wolves by a score of 23-2 in their opener of Empire 8 play.
In the first half, it was all Nazareth as they jumped out to a hot start, scoring 8 goals to the Pioneers' nothing in the first quarter. The Golden Flyers had 6 different goal scorers throughout the quarter.
The Pioneers would answer first in the second quarter by way of none other than Sam Serrano. Serrano netted his 14th of the season off an assist by Connor Costanza. With that goal, Serrano now joins fellow attackman John Spoto at the top of the team's goal leaderboard. Though this would be the Pioneers' only goal of the quarter, as Nazareth would go on a 5-0 run to round out the half, give themselves a 13-1 lead over the Pioneers.
The third quarter, we would start with an exchange of goals between the two teams. Greg Billick for the Golden Flyers would start the second half scoring, but shortly after, the Pioneers would add one of their own with an unassisted goal by freshman Nolan Shea. Nazareth's Clifford Pollard would net his third goal of the game to close out the quarter.
Nazareth would go on to expand their enormous lead again in the fourth, adding 7 goals to the Pioneers' 1. That goal for the Pioneers came from junior Jonathan Chelinski late in the fourth quarter. The final for this one was 23-3 in favor of Nazareth.
With that loss, the Pioneers now fall to 4-7 on the season, as well as 0-1 in conference play. They'll look to bounce back this Wednesday against Russell Sage College at home in their second game of conference play this season.
This past Sunday, April 2nd, the Utica University women's water polo team continued their home tournament with 2 more games, this time facing off against Washington and Jefferson College and Connecticut College. The girls are looking to bounce back after the 2 losses they suffered just a day before, as well as still searching for that first elusive win on the season.
The Pioneers lined up against Washington Jefferson College in the first match, at which they lost 16-6. Amelia LeBate netted a hat trick for the Pioneers, but her efforts were not enough.
The Pioneers came into the final game of the tournament in hopes of finding not only their first win on the weekend, but their first win on the season. Connecticut College jumped out to an early 4-1 lead in the first period, but things began to turn around for the Pioneers in the second period after they netted 2 goals of their own to cut the lead down to 4-3. Though that would not be enough, as Connecticut would go on to rally 6 goals to defeat the Pioneers by a score of 10-5. That loss dropped the Pioneers to 0-10 on the season.
The Utica men's tennis team lost their match versus the St. John Fisher Cardinals on Sunday, April 2nd, by a score of 6-3.
The Pioneers won all 3 doubles matches, but lost all 6 singles matches to the Cardinals in what was a tale of 2 different events, as Utica was unable to win their individual battles and continue to search for their first conference victory and overall first win on the year.
And after a long battle with the weather, Utica baseball is finally back. The Pioneers played against Houghton in their home opener in what would make for a heated conference matchup. Ryan Cardone took the mound for the Pioneers, looking to bounce back after a slow start to the season, and bounce back he did. Besides a shaky 4th inning, Cardone was downright unhittable. The Pioneers ace allowed just 5 hits and 1 run in 8 dominant innings.
Utica had a strong performance on the offensive end as well. The Pioneers grabbed their first run of the game when John Sun stole home on a double steal. Utica would continue to put runs on the board over the next 2 innings as well. They tallied 3 runs in the 5th, after the top of the order notched 3 straight hits with 2 going for extra bases.
Utica would put up 4 more runs in the 6th, highlighted by a bases-clearing 3-run double by junior standout Don Fasolo. Utica would finish this one on top, winning 9-1 over the Highlanders. The top of the order did the heavy lifting for this offense, as Joe Crossley, Fasolo, and John Sun had multiple hits and RBIs apiece.
On Tuesday, April 4th, the men's baseball team will be hosting the SUNY Kobelskill Tigers in an afternoon game on the Utica campus. The game will be a real catch at 4 p.m. on the Utica baseball field.
This Tuesday, April 4th, the Utica University women's lacrosse team will look to bounce back and jump 1 game above 500 as they take on SUNY Plattsburgh at home.
The 4 p.m. game comes a couple of days after the girls lost at home against SUNY Cortland. The storyline going into this one is simple. Her name is Samantha DeCondo. She sits 1 goal away from 100 career goals in a Pioneer jersey.
Only 10 other players have been able to do this in their careers here at Utica, so be sure to come out to Charles A. Gaetano Stadium Tuesday evening and support the girls and watch Sam DeCondo hopefully etch her name into history.
After you stop by the baseball and lacrosse games this week, make sure to stop by the Greenman softball field across from campus this Wednesday at 3 p.m. for some softball.
The women's team is up against RPI in a doubleheader on April 5th. The women's team has beaten RPI in the past, so stop by this game and wish them some luck.
On Wednesday, the men's lacrosse team will be facing the Russell Sage Gators at Gaetano Stadium at 4 p.m. Sage is coming off a crushing defeat against Alfred, having lost to the Saxons 28-7. So Utica will look to pick up their first win in conference play. Come out to men's lacrosse this Wednesday at 4 p.m. It will be a nice midweek break from your academic work.
And this Wednesday, April 5th, the Utica University men's tennis team is set to take on SUNY Delhi at home. The match is set for 5 p.m. at the university's tennis courts.
The season certainly has not gone off to the hottest start for the men's tennis team as they look to get their first win of the season after dropping their first 5 matches.
Last season, the boys defeated the Broncos by a score of 6-3, so come down to the university's tennis courts this Wednesday and support the men's tennis team, who will look to repeat history and defeat SUNY Delhi once again.
Track and field has their outdoor home opener this weekend. Javelin will take place Friday, with the rest of the events happening on Saturday. After a strong showing during the indoor season, the Pioneers are looking to repeat as outdoor champions.
Utica had a great showing at the Hamilton Continental Outdoor Invitational this past weekend, with 8 Pioneers winning their events. So be sure to come out and support the track and field team at the Pioneer Turf Track and Field Complex at 3 p.m. on Friday and 10 a.m. on Saturday.
Coming up on Saturday, our men's tennis team is up against Alfred University as yet another part of the Empire 8 Championship.
The men's team last home game against Alfred ended in a 9-0 victory for the Pioneers, so go out and wish them some luck this Saturday at 8 p.m. over at the Utica University tennis courts.
Coming up this Saturday, April 3rd, the women's lacrosse team will be going face-to-face against St. John Fisher in an intense Empire 8 matchup.
So far this season, the Pioneers have had an equal amount of wins and losses, rounding out their record of 4-4. In the past, Utica has struggled to beat St. John Fisher, so make sure to come out and support your Pioneers as they hope to dominate the field this Saturday at 1 p.m.
And that's all the Utica sports we have for you this week. Be sure to keep an eye out for our Moose Minute series that takes an inside look at your Pioneer athletes.
And be sure to follow us on social media to see when Utica TV will be broadcasting your Utica athletics.
Thank you so much for watching. Go San Diego State Aztecs. And always remember to fear the Moose.